The Tigers were home against the Hoyas this weekend. The Tiger Lacrosse Report starts now, brought to you by the Green Turtle. Welcome to another edition of the Tiger Lacrosse Report. I'm your host, Spiro Morekas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen. And coach, the Tigers taking on Georgetown this past week, and they were a team that came in undefeated at 5-0, obviously one of the hottest teams in the country, and they showed why. They really have a deep offensive team out there. I mean, it's not one guy, it's a bunch of guys.
Yeah, and obviously it's led by Caraway, but they have great players at the midfield, guys that you have to worry about all three of the guys, whoever's out there at that time. A talented freshman, scoring goals for him, the Canadian, and a good setup guy behind the cage. So we knew that going into it. Unfortunately, we allowed them to have more possessions than we wanted to, and then that allowed that offense to be that much more explosive.
And they broke out right away. It was 6-1 at the end of the first quarter. And at the end of the first quarter, Shane Brennan got injured, and you had to bring Jake Stout in to play goalie. How tough is that for a guy when he's? I mean, I know everybody is supposed to be prepared and ready to go, but from a mental standpoint, how tough is that when all of a sudden, boom, like that, Jake, you're in?
Yeah, for goalies, it's a little bit different because a lot of times those guys go an entire game. In games without seeing the field, and then something happens, a goalie gets a penalty or an injury happens and stuff. You got to get in there. It's tough. Like face-off guys can be on the side and they can take reps and get their hands free. Goalies typically don't do that as much just because they don't. We're not going to really put them in until something bad happens and we need to. So I think it's a little bit tougher on goalies, but that's I think part of being a goalie is just having that mental. Be mentally prepared to get in there when the opportunity comes.
You were down 9-2 at halftime. What do you tell the team at that point? I mean, you want to come back, but this isn't the professional league. There's no 2-point goals or anything like that. You got to take it one possession at a time.
And that's what it was. It was just one play at a time. Really, just kind of boiling it down to one positive play after another, and then look to, because we didn't do that really well at all, especially the first quarter. I mean, that was one of the worst openings to a game that I've probably seen, where we had opportunity. We win the first face-off, we come down, and we kind of force the issue, and we get the ball taken away, and they come back the other way, and a failed clear, which on an easy exchange, just simple fundamental plays that continue to haunt us. But trying to stay as positive as we can, get them to understand that we got to play obviously with some urgency, but not out of control, and just take it one play at a time. Keep fighting and scrapping for loose balls. That's the one way that you can really change the momentum is out hustling teams for ground balls, get that extra possession, earn those extra reps, and be able to cash in on them.
The other thing you did, you made a lot of changes throughout the game on the attack, on midfield. Not that you wanted to, but what was behind that?
Just personnel based, with where guys are health-wise, where guys are productivity-wise, just continuing to provide guys opportunity that they earn, and then guys that maybe don't earn as much opportunity as they have in the past. I know we threw out there, I think, 3 different face-off guys. Joey started strong, and then they made an adjustment, and he did. We didn't adjust well against that, and had a couple other guys, give it an attempt, and they seemed to counter pretty well against that. So it's getting the guys out there that have earned the opportunity that we feel can do well for us out there. But it comes down to continue to work on that chemistry.
And then after the game, what do you say to the team? Because you're in unfamiliar territory here. What do you say to these guys?
Yeah, when we're having issues that we really shouldn't, unfortunately, just with the fundamental errors that we're having, basic lacrosse stuff. And so for us as a staff, it's really trying to reset our guys into playing much just more confident and loose. I don't think we're doing that right now. People might see it and say, well, they're playing loose all right. They're throwing the ball all over the place. That's sometimes that's a product of being too tight,
right,
and then worrying about mistakes. So I think getting our guys back to really the bare bones fundamentals, playing to the simplest form and to the simplest piece of the game, and understanding how easy the game can be when you really just allow yourself to play the game that way. Instead of worrying about compounding one mistake and letting it derail you for the rest of a quarter, and then the whole team being consumed by that, just being a lot more confident.
All right, so the Tigers will try to get on the winning track this Saturday when they take on Duke, as the schedule just never you got to talk to the guy that makes your schedule. Duke this week, another top 10 team coming into Johnny Unitas Stadium. Game time is 3 o'clock, and the coach and I will talk about it on a later edition of the Tiger Lacrosse Report. So for the head coach of the Tigers, Shawn Nadelen, I'm Spiro Morekas. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Tigers.